Today, I'm going to be showing you how I painted this beautiful harvest moon, and more specifically, how I captured the grasses and reflections in the water. Oh, and I'm also going to cover how I made the moon pop in this painting as well, so stay tuned for that. I always like to start off by workshopping the photo and finding the best composition that I can. I take different ratios and canvas sizes and then see which one would make the best composition. And then I pick a good paper size from there. As usual, I start with a sketch, usually consisting of just the big shapes. I don't get too detailed, I just like to map out where everything's going to go. And if you can see here, I'm using the top of the paper as a straight edge to steady my hand across the paper so that I can get a relatively straight and level horizon line. After I get the horizon line where I want it, the next most important thing that I need to figure out where I want it to go is the moon, of course. And I'm putting it on that 1/3 mark of the paper. When in doubt about where to place something within a composition, you can always use the rule of thirds. It's tried and true. Once I have the most important shapes outlined, I begin to mass in the color of those shapes. Here I'm starting the intention of where I want my grasses to lay. You can see here there's a horizontal, there's a nice diagonal, and now we have vertical lines. It's really important to vary these types of lines within your composition. You're probably wondering why I'm starting off with a green pastel. That's because the grasses in the foreground are more of a greenish color of that orange, while if you isolate the actual color, it's still orange. Since we're working with pastel, we can't mix color like we can with paint, so it's nice to lay that more green foundation underneath so that when you layer the orange over top, it will have a similar effect. Here I'm taking a darker reddish brown pastel and I'm warming up that grass mass. I usually work pretty intuitively, and at this point I'm really wanting a stable horizon line, so I'm nailing down where that's going to go. At this point in the painting, I'm connecting the distant grasses with the foreground grasses because essentially it is just one mass containing a gradient. Now I'm deciding it's a good time to go in with my darkest dark so that I can start to get a gauge on the full value range of this painting. Now I'm going in with the moon. I really couldn't wait any longer. I needed to see the moon in this painting so that I could base the rest of the painting off of it, because that's really what the painting is about, and everything else is supporting the moon. You'll see that I exaggerated the size. I did this intentionally just because when I was out there that night, the moon felt huge. It was just one of those tricks of the eye, or maybe it was closer, but it was just giant above the horizon. So I'm really wanting this moon to pop, and the way I do that is by keeping the value of the sky and the moon very similar, but contrasting both the hue. So I'm going to do a purple sky, which is the complementary of yellow, and then the yellow is also a very saturated hue, so I'm going to make the purple of the sky very gray. And the combination of the sky being both gray and complementary is really going to make that moon pop. When you're working on a sky gradient with pastel, it's always important just to be patient. It just takes push and pull. So you start off with one color in the gradient, and then you move on to another, and then just back and forth, push and pull those colors until they blend together. I'm going around the moon with a pinky orangey halo, and I'm doing this in order to make the moon feel as though it's glowing, but also, if you think about it, on a rainbow, in order to get from purple to yellow, you need to both pass through red and orange. You could also argue that you could go through green then blue, then purple, but that wouldn't have the same effect in this context. When painting water, it's always a good idea to stick with horizontal marks, and especially as they recede into the distance, those horizontal marks will get more and more narrow. And in order to capture the reflections, you'll go in with vertical marks. Here you can see I switched to vertical marks when I'm painting the edges of the reflection. Also, the water reflection and the sky need to be somewhat cohesive. There is a little bit more blue in the water because the horizon is high, so we're capturing more of the reflection of the sky in the water than the actual sky itself. Here I'm using a fan brush in order to dust off the pigment that I've already placed on the paper so that I can go in with a darker color for the reflections on the water. This is simply just going to help the color that I use for the reflection stick to the paper better. And it's also important to wear a mask if you're doing that, because as you can see, the pastel is just floating off the paper and into the air. So also don't blow it like I just did. But once I do this, I hold my breath as I'm doing it, but then I leave the room for like 10 to 15 minutes so that the pastel dust settles and my lungs aren't vulnerable to it. Oops, I'm gonna need you to forgive me and please don't sue me. I forgot to press record after I'd stepped out in order to let the dust settle, and I went in and did the reflection of the moon on the water and didn't capture it on video. Essentially what I did was put down a darker valued orange, like a tangerine color, and then go over top of it with a very vibrant yellow, and then outline the orange with the yellow as well. Here I'm beginning to lighten the background grasses so that they really feel as though they're being hit from the light from this moon. And then I'll begin to work my way from the background to the foreground to really tie in that more light valued color into the foreground grasses as well. And And then I'm also going to light up the back cluster of trees in the very far background so that it looks as though they're being hit by that same light source. So at this point, I have my whole canvas, or in the case of pastel paper, I have my whole paper covered. And from this point, it's really about just fine-tuning the edges and the texture of the shapes that you already created. Here, I'm really graying down those background trees so that it really sets them deep off into the background. This will really help the foreground and the expansive grasses feel really vast. If your eyes are playing tricks on you, it never hurts to get out the ruler or any straight edge. Don't let your ego get in the way. This isn't cheating. This is using your resources, people. At this point, I'm really molding the form of the grass. I want it to feel three-dimensional, and I do this by creating the correct light and shadow on the edges. Only when I feel that I've got the form in a good place is when I'll go in with the texture, and in this case, the grasses. Here I'm using an extremely light touch to warm up the reflection of the grasses so that I capture the glow that the moon is emitting onto the grass in the reflection as well. Because again, the reflection and what is being reflected into the water need to have some sort of consistency. From there, I continue to push and pull vertically with the color of the water and the color of the grasses to capture a nice edge along that reflection. Now that I'm happy with the form of the grass mass as well as the value and the color, it's the fun part. I get to go in with the grass texture. And when you're working on grasses, it's usually easiest to go dark to light, so right now I'm starting to make those vertical marks with a darker color. So I started with a very dark green, and now I'm moving my way to still a dark value, but more of a brown, warmer color. This is when your grass actually starts looking like grass, when you started going with that lighter value with those vertical wispy marks. And when you're making these vertical marks with the lighter value, you want to concentrate them so that there are more in the foreground, and as you recede in the distance, you need to use them less and less because it's just not realistic to see individual grass blades when they're that far in the distance. It's grass. Once I've got my grass in a place where I want it and it's really feeling like a big mass of grasses, I begin working on the horizontal marks of the water. Because at this point it's just one giant mass in the water. I've kind of lost my horizontality. I don't know that that's a word, but I've lost my horizontal marks. So I'm going in with a lighter color where the reflection is and then creating just very subtle horizontal marks. And as I get further in the distance, as this recedes, those horizontal marks are going to get more narrow and closer together. Alrighty, here is the finished painting. I really hope you enjoyed this or learned something. And if you did, I would deeply appreciate a like and or subscribe. There will be much more of this kind of content to come. And if you want to dive a little deeper, I have the full-length tutorial of this on my Patreon. Link is in the description. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.